Before we start, if you enjoy weekly stock updates and real portfolio transparency, hit like, subscribe and comment your take on the stock this week. Alright, welcome back to the series where I buy 10 shares of at this point the title card is basically a payment processor too, so let's get into the update. We're already at week number 8 of this PayPal weekly. We did come a long way so far. 8 weeks, that's quite a lot. That's 2 months basically. And I think we should get right into the comments that we've received in the past week. So first of all, the answer is 42 commented owning 350 shares. It's currently 14.1% of my portfolio. Will start taking profit on the way up when it reach 20% of portfolio, maybe more like 25%, still not sure. I do agree with taking profits. However, I think the biggest amount of mistakes in my investing career, in my entire life, is doing or taking or selling too much or too many shares at once, or even selling out on my entire position. I totally agree with you. Like, I think you do everything all right. It's done perfectly. Like, no worries. So don't take this personally. This is just about me and my mistakes, because this reminded me of one of my mistakes from the past. Because I'm not sure if most of you guys even know this, but like in 2019, June, July, or May, I think I started investing like April or something. I'm not quite sure anymore. I did a huge bet on Tesla, and back then the stock wasn't doing well at all. It just went down like, I don't know, 60, 70% or even 80% from its highs, like a lot. I don't quite recall, but the drama in that stock, the sentiment, it was like several times worse than even PayPal right now. It was such a huge pain. And when I was on the verge of breaking down myself, because even though I got in very cheaply, I still was on a huge loss. I was like 30% down or something, or 40%, which at the time was one of my biggest loss stocks, because there was no big crash in recent years, like looking back from 2019, except like a small correction in 2018. And my portfolio had didn't really seen any big downtrend for a long while, but this position really dragged it down. So what happened is I was already on the verge of breaking down, and then like 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, Elon Musk said something along the lines of, if this keeps going on, we're going to be bankrupt or insolvent in 2 weeks. And at that point, like, I live in Germany, and my family hadn't really heard of Tesla or Elon Musk. But at some point, my mother talked to me and said, yo, this guy, Elon Musk, that you told me about, and the whole Tesla thing, I just read a news article saying he's going to be insolvent in 2 weeks. I think you should sell your stock before it's too late. And I didn't let it get to my head, but it definitely changed my feelings too. So I did bite through it, and I think in like August, September, October, November, it got better and better, and at some point I was like almost flat, or I was flat, and then I was like, oh, it's like 50% of my portfolio, I have to sell a bit, and then I sold like half of my shares at like 5% plus, so I make a profit. And I was like, yeah, this stock I was 35% at a loss, I now sold with 5% gain. That was huge at the time, because nobody expected that Tesla will continue to go up. Everyone was thinking, okay, this is basically it. We can at least take some and go away with it. But that was just the very beginning. but my portfolio, my own position was already way down. And then a couple weeks later, it was like 10, 15, 20% gain, and I sold another like 20, 30%. And at some point, my position got very low, and I was like at 50% gain. I was like thinking at all these bad things from the past when Tesla was making new lows every single day for weeks, for months even, and the sentiment was so low. And I was like, oh damn, if that happens again, I'm going to be so fucked. So what if he's going insolvent? What if things go down suddenly and then that's it? What if this like a dead cat bounce? And I sold more of my shares, and then it was up even more, and I sold at some point I sold even the last bit of my shares. And what I want to say is that at some point a stock is doing, when a stock is doing very badly for weeks, months, or even years in the case of PayPal, you have to really reassure yourself what your investment case is and what you're betting on. If you really want to keep things stable, nothing wrong with that. If you want to keep your portfolio balanced, go ahead, do that. And in your case, you're definitely not going to make the same mistake as me, because as you said yourself, when it reaches like 20% of your portfolio, 25%, that's like a 50%, 100% gain where you're starting to sell or starting to take a profit. So that's perfectly fine. But in my case, I'm only ever going to sell very small positions percentage wise, like only like 5% of my total position, and I'm only going to start doing that when there's like a huge profit. Like when it's up 40%, 50%, I'm not even going to think about it. And then when we're seeing like 70, 80, 90, 100%, maybe I'll sell like 5%. I don't know. When it's like 200% gain, maybe another 5%. I don't know. But I'm going to keep the selling to a minimum, because I have to reassure myself at times like this when it's hugely up and I'm like, oh man, it's gone up so high. Like at some point it's going to be the highest in like 5 years, and you'll think, oh damn, it's so high now. It's on the peak. It's got to correct at some point, or it's going to crash again. What if I don't take any profits? And then what happens is it just goes up even more. So yeah, personally, I'm going to be very conservative when it comes to selling, though I do have to admit my position isn't big at all right now. So I'm in an entirely different situation right now. But this comment just totally reminded me of my Tesla thing. And yeah, if you look at the price action over the last 7 years from when I invested back then, damn, there was so much more than just 10, 30, 50, or even 200% to be made. I think that was like a 20x or something, or 25x. Like at some point I felt sick looking at the charts, so I just, yeah. Yeah, but that was my biggest lesson at the stock market. If I had just kept my position that I had back then, I probably wouldn't have to work anymore. So that's something to keep in mind. But I'm assuming the lesson that I was taught that day, or that week, that month, that year, was the most important in my life so far. So that's something to be wary of, I suppose. So let's look at the next comment, which is from my friend who always comments, which is a great thing because we most of the time agree. So he comments, the thing with Wall Street is that when there's fear around something, their first reaction is to sell. Yep, I agree. Only afterwards do they decide whether to buy back. Yep, also agree. Retail usually thinks the opposite. They wait to sell only once the thesis is clearly invalid. Yep, that's also true. So it's not just that retailers are absorbing the sell-off, they're often selling ahead of potential repricing. Yep, that's also true. I'm probably among the largest individual holders of PayPal shares with an average cost basis. Yeah, I didn't fully get the whole comment as I see right now. Let me just check here. Just a second. Because now it got really interesting and I completely missed that there's more to that comment. Oh, let's see. Okay. With an average cost basis of $64, so higher than yourself, I'm debating whether to coordinate and free up more liquidity to inject into the charts, as this is currently my largest holding. Honestly, I can't really tell in your case because, as you say, you're probably one of the biggest holders, one of the biggest largest individual holders. I'm highly interested in knowing how many shares they got. If it's like 10,000, I don't know, more or less. No idea. Could be anything. Could be 100,000. I have no clue at all. If it's like too much of your holding, sure, why not? You're in a wholly different situation than me then. So risk allocation is something to be wary of. However, personally, I think the change with PayPal is right around the corner, and I'm going to get back on my comment now later in this video because I've prepared a couple things for that. I think PayPal right now is the cheapest it has ever been, and it's currently in a very good position. Like, the company is doing decent. It's not doing amazing work. It's not doing great work. But like the numbers they put out, they're decent. They're very good. They're good. And the entire situation, that's actually looking very good. Like what they do, what they're setting up for themselves for the upcoming weeks, months, years, that looks really good. So when these things happen, it's like the flood that's rising, and at some point it's going to rise the stock market price, the stock price of PayPal as well. And usually when that happens, the repricing happens, that's going to be a thing that can be done in like weeks. Like the stock price, at some point people will just think it's crazy because the stock price can just go up 5% in a day, and then the next day it won't sell off 4% like it used to do. It's going to go up another 6%. And people think, oh my god, that's crazy. And some of those holders that are holding right now will even buy puts on PayPal because they think, damn, PayPal has sold off every single time. Why not now? So they'll buy puts because it's gone up 5% first day, 6% second day. But then the next day, it's going to up even more because now institutions are buying. Retail investors are slowly thinking, oh, damn, the stock went up 5% every single day for like 3 days. Let me just load up some shares as well. And then all those people that bought shorts on the stock a few days ago because they thought, okay, it's going to sell off again, they'll get burned. And then they sell their shorts, and they're just going to fuel the rise with PayPal even more. And then what's going to happen is within a matter of weeks, the stock can just go up 50% or more. It's possible. Doesn't mean that this has to be the case for PayPal. I'm happy if it goes up like 20 or even 30% in just a matter of days or weeks. That would be great. But it's very likely because the stock is down quite a bit. And it's to a level where they can buy a very huge amount of their own shares, leading not even to buying pressure. That's not even the case really here, but like to a very huge impact when it comes to the valuation of PayPal, because everything just looks even cheaper with each passing month or with each passing quarter. So since then, it's when we can actually see how many stocks were bought. And I think that's just going to increase the speed at which the flood is going to be rising. But right now, we haven't even dipped our toes in the flood. So we can't feel it yet. We can't see it yet. We can't look down. But once it's there, once we can feel it, it's going to be happening very, very quick. And I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later, even though right now it feels we are further away from PayPal stock rising than ever before. I'm very bullish on the next quarter because the expectations right now, they were set quite low. Lots of selling pressure that has happened before in the weeks before. So I'm expecting low expectations from the investors, low expectations from the analysts. So when this quarter doesn't look bad, when it looks, which means bad would be like a mediocre quarter, when it just looks good, like actually a good quarter, then we're already going to see a small rise, which could be the very first snowball leading to the huge rise in 2026. If the numbers are great and we see an outlook that says, oh, we're going to make so much money on AI, we're going to make money here, we're going to make money there, profitability increases, sales increases, active accounts increases, branded checkout increases, like all those things increase, then it's going to look amazing. Then we can see like 10% or more in a single day, 20% or more in like a week. That's totally possible. And we can see that because right now, lots of retail investors, let's be real, they've sold. They were bleeding out over years, some of them, and they've sold. They're completely done for. They say, no more PayPal, I'm done. I made 30% loss, 40% loss, 50% loss. I'm done with this shit. It just continues to go down. It doesn't matter if the fundamentals look good. Nobody cares. One thing that's bad and then everybody sells. Fuck this shit. I'm out. So keep that in mind when retail investors go out of the stock. As you said yourself, that's the sign for it to go up. In your case, I can't really tell since I don't know your position. But if I were you, I would probably hold. Though I can't really say that in my stead, since I don't know. Let's get into the meme of the week. PayPal stockholders weekly roller coaster, January 19th. Is this the breakout? And then on Friday you saw, oh, PayPal going down again. Just another week of sideways pain. Yeah, so as you can see in the price action for the last week, it has gone up for a day on Monday. Then it went down, and then it went up again, and it went down. So ultimately, no, it didn't go up on Monday. I think it went down pretty steeply actually. But what has happened is I think we saw a price action of like $50, $55. I'm not sure if we saw $54 or if it was being traded on the Nasdaq. But we were in the very low 55s, so that's super cheap for PayPal. I didn't really have liquidity on that day, but I did 1 or 2 days later when PayPal went up for like 2.5%, and I fully ran into that and bought, and then PayPal like there was on Thursday, and then Friday it just went down again. So yeah, I kinda got baited into buying, but no big deal really. It's such a small margin. It's non-existent. But I just found that funny. So got really tempted with the FOMO here. Yeah. So let me show you what I bought. How much I bought to make up for the recent week, like the week before the last week, where I bought 0 shares. I now bought 20 shares. So I'm actually now like down the line, I'm up 5 shares, so I'm at a bigger position than I expected it to be at this point in time. But I'm really making that bet because I think the next quarterly results for PayPal will be amazing. They will be huge compared to the expectation. So like I don't think this is going to be the quarter, the biggest of the big, but I think the expectations are quite low. Compared to the usual expectations, which are high. So compared to the low expectations, the numbers are going to be good. And I'm hoping for some good guidance for the upcoming years. So I'm hoping that they'll increase their stance on the upcoming growth. I'm hoping that they are not just going to make 2026 another transition year. And seeing how they haven't really put all that much positive information themselves, maybe they are sandbagging something for the quarterly results. It's possible. Like, it's not that likely because they made a couple negative remarks like 6 or 7 weeks ago. That's why the stock went down for a couple weeks. But it's possible. It's very likely actually, because that's just what PayPal does, or what the team does. I'm not really a huge fan of that, but at some point I gotta take what I gotta take, so looking forward to that. Total invested so far is almost $5,000. I think you can round it up to 5,000, which currently is just $4,999.05. But I think you can say I invested $5,000 so far. So let's get into the amount change and the percent change since we started the series. So since starting this series, it went down to by 9%, 9.1% you could say. And on a weekly basis, we are pretty flat, but we went down. For 0.5%. So not too much of a big deal. It's all right. As you can see, with this strategy, I'm trying to buy more when the prices are lower. So I think we made a good deal on that. So despite the stock going down by 9% over these weeks, we are just down like 4.5%, 5% more or less, which is quite alright with me, because on the way up, that's just going to be more fuel for me, more gains in the long run. So very much looking forward to that. Next, total loss, gains on a weekly basis. So we lost another $30. Which leaves us at a total loss of $186. So as you can see here, we're down almost $200, but when you keep in mind that we bought with like $5,000, then we're just down not even 5%, like 4.5%. So that's all right. That's pretty good actually. Like we took that in a good way, I think. So on the way up, that's just going to pay off much more. And for me, this is not yet a concerning amount in the loss. That would be more like a 90% loss, where I would really change my mind maybe, but I don't think so. So next, let's look at the expected dividends. Once again, I'm expecting a quarterly dividend of 11 cents and $11.90. Which is going to be happening in a couple of months, I think. I'll get more into that on the upcoming weeks. Maybe we'll hear more on PayPal's stance on the dividends. Maybe they'll increase it. I would be very grateful to hear about that, because that would change up my sheet here. So that would be nice. That's going to be a projected yearly dividend of $50 almost, 47.6 to be precise, and a monthly projected dividend of $3.97. So we are in a decent position right now. That's quite nice. Got there pretty quick, I feel. And I can't wait to see us hit a projected yearly dividend of like $100. That would be very nice. And then maybe a quarterly dividend of like $25, and then like a monthly dividend of $10. That would be great, and I'm very much looking forward to see that. But now let's get into the news of the week, and quite a bit of important things are happening or have happened. The quarter results are ahead. I have to look up the exact date. I'm not sure if it's in this trading week. PayPal quarter results. Let us see. If I see it right, it's February 2nd. So it's not quite in this week. It's going to happen the week after, on the 2nd of February. So we can dive deeper on the upcoming quarter results on next week, where I can tell you more about my expectations and stuff like that. But it means that we still have a few more days until it's actually happening. I was thinking like end of January, but it's actually 2nd of February. So still got a bit of time. So then I can keep this to myself for the next video, where I'll dive deep into that, since I have so much more to say right now. Yeah, they did a free DIY tax filling for PayPal debit card users, which is quite decent. Could make it so that more people signed up for the card, which would be amazing. And I think that's a bit of value that PayPal brings to the table that lots of people are going to appreciate. So not going to affect the stock price action, but could affect future active accounts with PayPal, since people usually are quite grateful for stuff like that, since tax filings are usually yeah, a pretty nice thing to have, nice thing to get, especially when it's free. So people remember that, and that's a great thing when people combine that thought with PayPal, and thus PayPal gains like a better reputation, you could say. So next point, institutions are loading up. So Rakuten Investment Management reported that they are making a new PayPal investment, and the Commerzbank reported that they are increasing its PayPal position as well. So looks pretty cool. It looks like even near the lows that there's smart money adding while others are trimming. And this could very well mean that these two players are very much convinced that PayPal is doing well on the upcoming months, weeks, years. I personally am, and it's good to see some institutions loading up as well. Not huge news, since those positions are negligible, but it's something to keep in mind. So for your sane mind as a retail investor, this might be pretty good news. Next. PayPal agreed to acquire Cymbio, I think Cymbio, I'll just name it that. It's a Tel Aviv based multi-channel commerce orchestration platform that helps merchants make their products discoverable and sellable across AI powered commerce channels. So like Microsoft Copilot, Perplexity, and some other AI assistants. And the deal is expected to close in the first half of 2026. Not again huge news for PayPal company right now, but this could be huge news for the PayPal stock, because this could lead to a sentiment change. PayPal right now is being seen as that value company. They've changed from a growth company to a value company, at least when you look at how the stock market is treating PayPal. However, this, if you look at the AI story with PayPal, could change things up, because if they make decent forward-looking statements, maybe some nice comments on the whole AI thing, then this could change the entire story. PayPal could be seen as a growth company again, and that could mean that over the matter of months, PayPal stock rises hundreds of percent. That's totally possible. It's not super likely that it's going to be this extreme, but it's possible. And I personally think we are going to see a slow rise, which is going to turn into a pretty decent rise over time, since PayPal's story is going to change. The question is not if it's going to change, it's going to be when. And when it's going to change, when the hype starts to get in, that's when the big players will join in, and that's when the big money is going to be made. So once you see small gains, don't just sell, because the big gains are to be made in the future. No financial advice, of course, but speaking from my own experience, the big gain will happen after what you think is the big gain. So when you think, oh my god, we went up 50%, I was down 20%, now I'm up 30% or 20% or whatever, that's the big gain, I'm going to sell 20% gain. No, that's when you should hold, because then the next 100%, that's going to be juicy, because then you're going to be in a gain of like 150, 160, 180%, 200% gain, and that's when it's really starting to be fun. That's when it's going to start being fun being a PayPal investor as well. And that's where things pay off, because if you've held the stock for like 3 years and seen newer lows every other week, you shouldn't sell when you're slightly at the gain. You took the risk for so long. Why of PayPal going down? Why not take the risk of PayPal going up for a few more months or quarters? Like, why not? If I get to recommend anything to you guys without financial advice, of course, at most ever sell like half of your position and then don't touch the risk. Like, maybe make something like let's say you have 2,000 shares, just set aside 1,000 shares, treat it as you don't even own it, and then the remaining 1,000 shares, when you have 2,000 shares, the remaining 1,000 shares, you can make like a plan on how to sell it. Like, let's say if it's up 20%, I'm going to sell 100 shares, and then if it's up 50%, I'm going to sell another 100 shares, and then if it's up 100%, I'm going to sell another 100 shares. And at some point, when it's up like 300%, you'll probably have sold like that entire position. But the other 1,000 shares that you still have, that used to be your other 50%, that's still there, and that's now up 300%. So compared to the first sellings that you did, the 10%, 30%, 40%, it's going to look so amazing, because now you have this big position that's still existent in your portfolio because you did not sell that position, and it's up 300%. That's just amazing. So that's my take on this for the future. In terms of AI, I think we are currently in the gold rush time, where most companies try to like mine for gold. They are like trying to get in on the hype. They try to make their own AI agents, stuff like that. And I think that you can get rich with that. Like, if you're a gold miner, you can get that big gold nugget. That's the case. Like, there are people that got rich during that time mining gold, and the gold mines too. Like, if you look at ChatGPT, Gemini, there are going to be players that will be rich at some point. But at this point in time, those companies, they're putting up lots of money to buy these gold mines to be the big player. And so far, there hasn't been too much gold. So at this point in time, even though the whole enthusiasm is there, the money isn't quite there, like the profits. And in PayPal's case, since they're everywhere and they're in all these little gold mines, or they're basically being placed at the gold mines, I think they're selling shovels there. So while all these companies spend the big money having that place, PayPal is sitting across. They're selling exclusive shovels at goldmine number 1, at goldmine number 2, at goldmine number 3, at goldmine number 4, at goldmine number 5. And this acquisition, Cymbio, I think they did a partnership a couple of years back. I'm not quite sure anymore, but I think that there was something there. This is basically doing the same thing. And when PayPal acquires that, that just means PayPal is doubling down on selling shovels. So this could feed into the PayPal is becoming a growth company again story. And if it does, damn, then we are seeing money. Then we're seeing the big money, because PayPal is in there with very little risk, because they didn't invest the big money there. But they're in there, and they're in there big. So if agentic commerce becomes big in the next year or the next years, which might be the case because it's evolving quick and people are adopting quite quick as well. So when that happens, PayPal is the first to profit. And when PayPal is the first to profit, PayPal is going to be a first mover. And when PayPal is the first mover, damn, PayPal stock could be treated well. So when that happens, I'd rather be in than out. So not just for the week, not just for a month, not just for a year, but for many years to come, because PayPal is in a great position for that. And I'm very much hoping to see that happening. That's it for this episode of the PayPal Weekly. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, subscribe to the channel to not miss on future updates, especially now that we are this close to the next quarterly results. If you want to hear my opinion on those, stay tuned for that. Hit like, subscribe, leave a comment on your opinion. I'm going to cover it on the next episode. And then I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.